Hello, I'm going to talk about the evolution of viruses, how it affects humans, as well as what people have been doing to prevent the evolution of viruses. Just as natural selection has shaped the evolution of humans, plants, and all living things on the planet, natural selection shapes viruses too. The viruses aren't technically living, they need a host organism in order to reproduce. They are subject to evolutionary pressures just like any other organism. The human immune system uses a number of different tactics to fight the pathogens. Characteristics that help a virus do its job tend to be kept from one generation to the next. One way hosts protect themselves from a virus is to develop antibodies to it. Antibodies lock onto the outer surface proteins of a virus and prevent it from entering host cells. A virus that appears different from other viruses that have infected the host is an advantage. The body has no pre-existing immunity in the form of antibodies to that virus. Many viral adaptations involve changes to the virus. The body can't recognize that these viruses are the same viruses they're trying to block on the other side. Basically, it's kind of like someone with a criminal identity getting a fake ID and entering a country without anyone knowing any better until something happens, and in this case, your body will get sick. HIV is one virus that continues to mutate and evolve every day. The human immunodeficiency virus seeks and destroys CD4 plus cells, a type of T lymphocyte or T cell. T cells are critical to the immune system. Many of the illnesses that people compromised immune systems get are rare in people with functioning immune systems. This means that people will get sicknesses or illnesses that they normally wouldn't get, but they do get because their immune systems are not working as well. HIV is an RNA virus, which means their genetic material is encoded in RNA. DNA is much more stable, and they have a proofreading check as part of the reproductive process. This means that they use their old host cell so if the virus makes a mistake, they can fix it. On the other hand, RNA is unstable because they don't have a built-in proofreading step like DNA. Mistakes in copying RNA happen frequently, and the host cell does not correct these mistakes. RNA virus mutations are frequent and can have important consequences for their hosts. The virus that causes AIDS is a highly genetically variable virus for several reasons. First, it reproduces much more rapidly than most other entities. It can produce billions of copies of itself each day. As it makes rapid-fire copies of itself, it commonly makes errors which translate into mutations in the genetic code. The more beneficial the mutations are to the virus' survival, the more likely the mutated virus will be able to reproduce itself. Another cause of the variability in HIV results from the virus's ability to recombine and form new variants with an individual. This happens when a host cell is infected with two different variations of HIV. Elements of the two viruses may combine to result in a new virus that is a unique combination of the two parents. The rapid rate of HIV evolution has important consequences. HIV can quickly develop resistance to anti-HIV drugs. Additionally, targeting a vaccine to a rapidly changing virus is challenging. This makes it hard to find an effective way to fight HIV. This basically means that people have a hard time finding some way to fight HIV because it keeps changing, and so no matter how fast they change it, the virus changes itself, and so it won't fight it off as effectively as before. In an effort to understand how HIV results resistance to drugs, scientists have found that it may be possible to steer the evolution of HIV proteins and eventually make HIV stop evolving at all. Chris Adami, professor of microbiology and molecular genetics at Michigan State University, found that in patients who have never taken medication to treat HIV, the virus's proteins don't evolve. However, patients who were on antiviral drugs saw their viral proteins evolve quickly in a very particular way. Using information about the protein sequences of patients who are taking antiviral medications, Adami and Aditi Gupta found that continued exposure to drugs limits the changes to the viral proteins, making continued evolution more difficult. A protein structure can be thought of as a set of beads connected with ties. To change, either the beads or the ties must change. The team found that when a protein needs to adapt quickly, it does so by introducing new ties and rearranging the existing ones, as opposed to just changing the beads. However, the new ties eventually tie down the protein, making further changes all the more difficult. If tied down sufficiently, the protein's evolution must drastically slow down. HIV evolution might be the answer to addressing the problem of drug resistance and increase the longevity of available drugs. To recap, many viruses today are mutating and evolving, which makes it so that the body cannot recognize them. In other cases, it makes it so they can resist the drugs. This makes humans more vulnerable and causes a lot of health problems and deaths in the world. The study of HIV may be able to stop all of this. Thank you for listening to me.